Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today on This Needs to Be Read. Today's topic, I have to be transparent and let you know I connected with so much of what was written in this book, and I was conflicted. And the reason I was conflicted because it mirrored so much of what I experienced in my life. And for anyone who has experienced what they didn't even know was inappropriate behavior or abuse, and it just went along as being normal. I never thought I'd be this age where I actually understood looking back and trying to justify it, see if I was wrong, did I do something to deserve this, all of these questions. Well, today's guest is the author of Underwater Daughter. My first question is going to be, once I invite our guest in, to tell us about that title, because I was completely blown away. Like I said, I connected with it, but I was blown away. Not what I expected, but everything I needed. So I'm welcoming into the conversation Antonia Deignan. Did I do it right? Did I mess it up?
You did
Try it again.
perfectly.
Perfect.
No, you did
Great.
it right.
Great. Welcome to This Needs to Be Read. How are you?
Oh, Catherine, it's very, very nice to be here, and my heart just goes out to you, actually, listening to your introduction. So I'm here.
In your pages, I can tell you were already here with me, and I was like, wow, what did I just read? So you are the author of a memoir called Underwater Daughter, a memoir of survival and healing. Tell us about the title. Why is that the title?
Okay, so originally, when I first started writing and decided it was going to be a memoir, I had titled it The Beauty Within because, as you alluded to, you have these things that you've tucked away deep inside and all of the different conversations that go along with that. And my purpose, I felt, was to find the beauty, the revelatory, and the holy there, right? But the publisher wasn't crazy about that title. And so she kind of, after reading it, gave me 150 words or so, keywords drawn from the prose, and said, see what you can do. And when I put those two words together, my first thought was, oh my God, they're so beautiful together. They just belong together. And I'm someone that sort of gravitates towards writing very informed by rhythm and melody and patterns, and so that's what struck me first. There's a ton of water symbols and metaphors within the storyline. The ocean, the sea has always been a place of, renewal and peace and unbridled joy, and so it embodies that. But the deep waters are also very dangerous, and it's hard to be heard when you're underwater. It's hard to be seen. It's hard to be noticed. So I felt like, and then if you factor in sort of the child-parent relationship, it just sort of ticked all the boxes. I thought this is a perfect title for this book, for this story.
I'm going to be jumping around. My next question is not directly related to the title. We will come back. I think I enjoyed you thinking of your mom as God. I want you to talk to me a little bit more about that.
Oh, I love that you highlighted that. You're the first person that's ever actually wanted to go there. So
you're going to have to remember me
honestly,
forever and always.
I'm surprised, though, because it was such a major component of my belief system as a young person. As a very young person, I literally thought she was God. And I could not reconcile it in my brain. It scared the shit out of me. It frightened me so deeply. And yet, I knew she was blood and bones and skin and facial, I knew she was all the human things right there in front of me. And so I just lived with this terror. It was a real terror for me. Yeah.
Well, the part that I connect with on you with that is I also did not grow up with religion in the home, not in the way I'm learning the world did. You go to church, one day a week or maybe
Right.
for Bible study. You know who your pastor is.
Right.
There's programs and stuff. None of that. What was
Mhm.
consistent was the Bible, the big family Bible. I didn't know it was a big family Bible
Mhm.
till later, but it was a big Bible on the buffet
Mhm.
where we should have food, but it was the Bible, and it was open up to Psalms 23. Always, never turned. Every Sunday morning
Amazing.
until noon, there would be gospel, whether I was at home with my parents or visiting over to my grandma's house. So I wasn't
Mm.
far off, from having a relationship with a God and a
Mhm.
picture of Jesus on the Christ, and we're not Catholic, so I didn't even know the difference as a kid, but there were symbols, and even the Serenity Prayer I thought was part of the
Mhm.
Bible, and it's not, but I like it. But the form of
Mhm.
religion or the form of God that showed up for me were in these things, and for me, just pulling for that yearning of a connection with the bigger being was there for me too, and I didn't know how to answer it. My aunt gave me a
Mm.
little pocket Bible, and it was just the book of Psalms, and
Mhm.
those things I relate back to. So as I'm reading through your book, I'm just like, oh boy. Part of me was like, and my husband was like, are you going to be able to get through it? And I said, I don't know, because I haven't
Mm.
written down my story, and I haven't really shared it with anybody that could get back to my family and hurt them because
Mhm.
I said that they were a bad person or they did these damaging things. I just want to share my
Mhm.
story, but hadn't found a way. And then here comes your book many years later
Mhm.
to explain it with some poetry, with some.
Mhm.
It's an easy, hard read. If that makes sense, it's easy in the
Mhm.
sense
Yeah.
that it's not jumbled with a lot of jargon and words above me or any
Mhm.
reader just trying to process something to see if this book can
Mhm.
offer me some healing. But
Mhm.
the other thing that I really enjoyed about it, enjoyed, not like happy enjoyed, but enjoyed that a sigh of relief that somebody out there
Mhm.
too understands. Because when I um, saw the height of the Me Too movement, I just didn't connect with
Mhm.
the women that were
Oh,
speaking mainly. So yeah,
that's the
come on, jump in
same as
here.
me. Yeah, that's
Said
the
it.
same as me. The Me Too movement. I am, I'm all for those voices being loud and proud, and for all those stories to being told. But I
Mhm.
also had a very hard time relating or anyone's voice really resonating for me. So that's interesting.
It seemed traumatic what they went through, but what you say in your story,
Mhm.
you don't talk about your dad being evil, mean, bad. He's a good dad. And then
Right.
there's this trigger that has been flipped for you and should not have been by him, should not have been witnessed by, a mother standing off in the background or anything. You shouldn't have
Mhm.
experienced it.
Mhm.
And when I think of
Right.
what happened with me and my dad, and people say, well, why didn't you say anything? Because it's my dad, it's an authority figure, felt like my mom knew about it. So who am I going to tell if not these two people who
Right.
already know about it? And if it was wrong, they wouldn't be having me do this, would they? So
Right.
what
Right.
do you say? And I learned to
Mhm.
um just like you requested the tickles, I requested, to service my dad so that I can, get whatever it was I wanted. Not thinking of prostitution or
Mhm.
pimping myself out, but it was an exchange. I'll get
Right.
something in exchange for this thing. And
Mhm.
just never could
Mhm.
explain it to anybody that I don't look at my dad as a bad person. Now, do I want my
Mhm.
husband or my children's grandfather? I don't want my kids to have to
Right.
go through
Right.
that with anyone.
Right.
But I don't look at my
Right.
dad as a bad person. A lot of my good stuff comes from him, which is like, how do you feel bad about this thing when there was so much
Right.
good? So
That's
you talk
right.
about you talk about your dad, and then they say, oh, you say you were abused by your dad? How? you know,
Yeah.
your
Yeah.
dad,
Well, right.
so
So,
yeah,
there
come
for the grace of God go either one of us, because anyone could be interpreting me, you, or the next person as a one-dimensional person. Clearly,
on.
we're not, and
Mhm.
clearly, your father or your mother are not, and
Right.
that is part of the main, thrust of my story, is that, we can do better. We can, yes, there's bad behavior, there's mistakes made, and who among us doesn't make them? And, what our job, our goal should be is finding the expansive perspective and finding the ways in which, everyone suffers along the way. People make mistakes, and hopefully we get to the point where we evolve and are better and are kinder and are more loving. And if we're all on the same track trying to do that, we're all going to lift each other up that way.
Absolutely.
But, the pointing the fingers and keeping people stuck in, whatever behaviors, that's not going to work. It doesn't work.
It doesn't, because there's so much more to tell. Our time is up, Antonia. Tell people how they can get a copy. I know it went so fast. Tell people how they can get a copy of your memoir, Underwater Daughter. They need to read this healing too, and to also offer forgiveness. That's what you also offered in this book. I know what happened. I understand it now, and the forgiveness that was there. We could keep talking, but you got to go. So tell people how to get in touch with you outside of This Needs to Be Read.
Yeah. Catherine, it was a pleasure talking with you. Go to my website, AntoniaDeignan.com. There's plenty of ways you can purchase the book there or just find out about me. You can go on to Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Apple Books, all the places, independent bookstores, libraries. Everybody can at least order it if they don't have it.
Yes. All right. I wish you much success as you are on this journey to share healing with so many other people. Until the next time our paths cross, you have a super day.
Same to you. Write that story.
I will. Thank you.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye now.